Hey guys, what's up? It's CJ. I just woke up from a nap, but I've been meaning to make this video for a few days, and I figured I'd go ahead and make it now, because I have a few minutes and I'm kind of just lazing around this evening. I wanted to make a video because I went to the doctor on Monday, I had an appointment with the gastroenterologist because I have acid reflux, and they were going to adjust my medication, but I switched insurances recently, and my new insurance requires a referral. My old one didn't, so I don't actually have like a family doctor, primary care physician type thing, because I've never needed a referral before, so I've just called specialist and gone there when something was wrong. So I had to get a referral, and I basically went into a doctor's office and asked if I could be seen that day because my appointment was that day, and I'm kind of a procrastinator, so I put it off too long. But I went to a doctor that I knew was a lesbian because I've had some I guess like gender discrimination or gay discrimination in the past in medical situations, so I just wanted to avoid that. So I went to this lesbian's doctor's office and asked if I could be seen that day, and they were super nice. They got me in, which was awesome. I really appreciated it. But past that point, it was the most awkward experience of my life. It was absolutely horrible. And I just wanted to share it because I think a lot of people have awful medical situations in the queer community. And I think it's important to talk about and get the word out there and to, fight against it, I guess. So basically I went in and the doctor wasn't there. She was out for surgery. So I think she was a nurse practitioner. I'm not sure. But anyway, as soon as I sat down and she started talking to me, I knew it was going to be so weird, because one of the first questions she asked me was how I knew I was gay. When I knew I was gay, how old I was when I knew I was gay. And I was like, whatever, it's kind of a benign question, but it's also not medically relevant, so it was a little bit weird. Especially when they were squeezing me in. I thought it was going to be super quick, what referrals do you need? Okay, cool, let's take your blood pressure, listen to your heart, everything's fine, here's your referral. But it wasn't that at all. It was a really long appointment in which she asked me a litany of really bizarre questions, starting with, when did you know you were gay? So I told her, I was a teenager, and she asked me how I knew, which I thought was weird. I was like, well, I was attracted to women, so that was a bit of a giveaway. And then she went on to ask me if my wife and I wanted to have children. I told her that we did. Again, didn't know why that was medically relevant. She asked me how we intended to have children, and I told her we weren't sure yet, that it's something that we've discussed. But we're not decided on any particular manner. And she asked me why I wasn't going to carry them, or was I going to carry them? And I said, no, I'm not planning on carrying children. She asked me why. And, I told her it just wasn't something I wanted to do. And she proceeded to basically try to talk me into carrying children. She was like, oh, but pregnancy's beautiful. And I was like, absolutely, I agree. Pregnancy is a very beautiful thing and a beautiful process. But it's not something that personally resonates for me, so I'm not going to do it. And her response was something along the lines of, I can't remember exactly what she said, but in her response she said, well, you have a uterus so you can, and it would save you $20,000. I guess she meant versus private adoption, or if she meant, I don't know, or surrogacy would be a lot more expensive than that. I don't know exactly what she meant, but I was like, well, I'm not going to do it, so, thank you for your opinion. I was trying to be as nice as I could because I really needed this referral. I was going to the specialist in a few hours, and my insurance wasn't going to cover it if I didn't get this referral, and they were doing me a favor, so I was trying to be nice about things as much as I could. So we went on. She continued to talk to me a little bit. She asked me if I knew that lesbians could get STDs, and then I was like, of course I know that. And she was like, well, a lot of people don't think that because there's not, penetration. And I was like, I didn't even say it, but I wanted to be like, that's a little ridiculous to think that there's no penetration in any lesbian sex. But okay, whatever. That aside, I was like, I'm aware that queer women can spread diseases. I've been tested a couple months ago. My wife's been tested, and I'm only sleeping with my wife, so I think it's fine. And she turned to me and goes, well, is your wife only sleeping with you? And I was like, God, this woman has got to be joking. A, that's none of her business. I hate this monogamous bullshit that you always get from people implying that somehow it's superior to only have one partner. But I also think it was kind of implied in what I said, that if at this time I'm only sleeping with my wife, that she's only sleeping with me. See, it's just none of her damn business. I'm aware that STDs or STIs can be spread, in queer relationships. I've been tested recently. My wife's been tested recently. So it's none of her business who we're sleeping with, frankly. So the whole thing started to piss me off. I was really starting to kind of lose my temper at this point, but I was trying to keep it together, be nice. And then she said, well, I need to do a breast exam. And I said, well, I've had top surgery. All my breast tissue's been removed. But I have recently been to the doctor in January when I went to the Trans Health Initiative. And I said, they are familiar with top surgery, and they did a post-surgical chest exam. Just in case there's any breast tissue left. I guess that's something they like to do prior to prescribing tea for somebody. So, I said, I've had that done recently. I have no breast tissue. She said, I still need to do it. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not ashamed. This is a medical situation. I feel comfortable taking my shirt off, whatever. So they had me in like a gown or whatever, and I was wondering why up until that point. So I let the gown slip down, and she turned to me, and I swear to God, she said, what quack doctor did that to you? And I, as calmly as I possibly could, said, Dr. Garamone, and by the way, I don't think he's a quack. He's a very skilled surgeon. And her response to that was, oh, he's a quack. To which I said, no, I don't. I appreciate his services, and I think he's a very skilled surgeon. And she called him a quack at least 2 or 3 more times in that conversation, which pissed me off to no end. I mean, the level of unprofessionalism that it takes to do that blows my mind. But also, unprofessionalism aside, that's defamation of character. She's opening their practice and herself personally up to a lawsuit. The liability involved in that statement is absolutely insane. And the level of ignorance it takes, her being a nurse practitioner or maybe a PA, I'm not sure, working for a queer doctor, it just blew my mind. And then that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. She also made faces about my tattoo, made a comment about the age gap between myself and my wife, because we have about 10 years between us. She asked me what I wear to the beach, as though that's medically relevant, and if I missed my breast. The whole thing was just so awful. So I'm not on here just to bitch about a negative experience, but I did want to share that I do think it's important to talk about the fact that those things happen. And maybe even more importantly, I called her boss today. Her boss was getting back in the office today. So I called her boss today and left a message. And they assured me that she would return my phone call. So I'm definitely going to let her queer boss know exactly what she said to me. Because I think it's important to speak out and let that be known. And I also just thought, it was one of those moments where I thought, especially when I was calling her boss to tell her what had happened, I thought, like, damn, I love being 30. When I was 18, that probably would have made me cry. Like, that whole situation, I probably would have just been so uncomfortable and so meek, and I would have been like, I'm sorry, I don't know, but now, I guess, I know a lot of people don't like getting older, and 30 is like a super scary age for a lot of people. I don't know, I just feel like I've reached that point in my life where, like, I'm so comfortable with who I am, comfortable with my life, confident in who I am, that those things don't shake me anymore. Sometimes they piss me off, but I'm able to keep my temper under control. I'm not like a crazy 20-year-old who goes off throwing punches like I did when I was a kid. I'm able to keep my temper under control, and I'm able to respond in a rational manner while standing my ground, without giving up my beliefs or my integrity. So it felt really good. It was a really like self-affirming experience. And I think that rationally explaining things to people, with an appropriate amount of anger or disgust, when it's called for, I think that goes a lot farther in terms of changing people's opinions. I don't think her opinion was changed at all. She was very insistent that any doctor who performs top surgery is a quack. I think she's crazy. But sometimes it does change opinions. Sometimes people do listen when you come at things calmly and rationally, and it just feels good to be a person who's in more of a position to affect change, and good to be a person who's, able to stand my own ground. I don't know. The whole thing, honestly, in a way, felt really good to me. And I look forward to talking to her boss and seeing if we can come to some resolution. I would love to. I doubt this is going to happen. I'd love to go sit down with the three of them and maybe help lead that talk with her, because I'm sure she's not going to be fired. And I'm not saying she should be fired, but I'd love to kind of, help lead that discussion that led her to either become more tolerant, or if not, just act like it. Just don't make people feel so horrifically uncomfortable in your medical practice, because medical access for the queer community is so limited already. We don't need to be pushing people out of it. So hopefully some great good will come out of this, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. Definitely, if you've had a similar experience or anything interesting to share, I'd love to hear it. So definitely shoot me a comment. All right, talk to you guys soon. Later.